Welcome to the Broker Compensation Training. The Broker's Compensation Agreement is entered in the Broker Support table accessed through the LoanSource screen. Click on the broker and click View Edit. On the Compensation tab, you'll see the current compensation for the broker. You want to make sure you enter the effective date, the compensation percentage. You may also enter a minimum dollar amount and a maximum dollar amount. Or if the broker has just a flat dollar amount, you can enter that as well. Now ProLender also tracks the historical records. So I can see the effective date, the compensation, the minimum, the maximum dollar amounts for past broker compensation agreements. I can also go up to Actions and click on Insert Compensation Record. This will copy down the current compensation details into my historical records. That way I have a record of what the compensation for the broker was. Now I can go in and I can change my effective date, my compensation percentage, and my minimum and maximum if the broker changes their compensation agreement. In this training, we'll cover 6 different scenarios for entering broker compensation. The first 3 will cover borrower-paid broker compensation, the first at par, then with a premium, and then with a loan discount. Then we're going to show you the lender-paid broker compensation at par, with a premium, and then with a loan discount. First, let's open up our data recap screen by clicking on the icon located in the icon bar. Now you want to make sure that you are on the compensation page. You do have some other options available. Now click on the icon and drag the screen onto your desktop. This will allow you to keep this screen open while you're working through ProLender. Now you'll notice at the top of the screen you'll see borrower paid compensation. Now this is determined by the compensation field on the loan. So if I change it to paid by lender, you'll notice that the fields change on the data recap screen. When I change it back to paid by borrower, I get a different set of fields. Now for our first scenario. Borrower paid broker compensation at par. So in this scenario, we'll select our compensation as paid by borrower. Our net buy points are 0, so that means we are at par. So the only thing we really need to do is go into the closing department, into our loan fees, and enter the loan origination. We'll enter it as 1%. We'll also make sure that it says paid to broker, paid by buyer. Borrower paid broker compensation with premium. So here our net buy points are 1.5 or $3,000. So we're going to go into closing, into payments and premiums. On the premiums tab, enter 1.5, which equals $3,000 back to the borrower. Here we'll enter again our loan origination, paid to our broker, paid by the buyer. We'll also go into the details of transaction, select borrower premium, and enter the amount as a positive. Borrower paid broker compensation with a discount. In this scenario, the net buy points is -1.5. So we're going to go to a closing department, loan fees. We'll enter our loan origination, which is paid to our broker by the buyer. And then we'll also enter in our loan discount as 1.5. So equivalent to our net buy points, it will be paid to the lender, paid by the buyer. Let's cover lender paid compensation. Lender paid broker compensation at par. So in this scenario, the compensation is paid by the lender. Well, you'll see the agreement details for the broker's compensation. In this scenario, the net buy points are 0 since we're at par. So we're going to go into our payments and premiums on our premiums tab, and we're going to enter in our broker's compensation. But I'm going to use my action item to automatically pull down the broker's compensation from the broker support table. Now we'll enter in our loan origination fee as 3%. We'll make it paid to the broker by the lender. We'll also want to go into the details of transaction and enter in the broker's compensation, the dollar amount at $6,000. Now this is important because the lender is paying the broker compensation, not the borrower. Lender paid broker compensation with premium. In this scenario, the net buys points are a +1.5. This means that there's a credit back to the borrower as a premium. So we'll enter in 1.5% as the borrower premium. We'll also use the action item to copy down the broker's compensation from the broker support table. In this scenario, it's 3%. So we'll also go into our loan fees and enter in a loan origination at 3%, paid to the broker by the lender. We'll also go into the details of transaction and enter in the broker's compensation. In this scenario would be $6,000. You'll also want to include the borrower's premium at $3,000. Lender paid broker compensation with discount. In this scenario, the net buy points are a negative 1.5%, which means we have a loan discount. So we're going to go into our premiums and enter in our broker compensation using the action item. In this case, it's 3%. So we're going to make sure we enter in our loan origination at 3%, paid to the broker by the lender. We're also going to need to enter in the loan discount at 1.5%, paid to the lender by the buyer. We'll also need to go into the details of transaction and enter in the broker's compensation. In this scenario, it would be $6,000. We don't need to enter in the discount because it's included in the closing cost. If you have further questions about broker compensation, please contact us at support@prolender.com or prolender.com/connect. You'll want to enter in the broker compensation as a positive. Keep in mind the loan discount will already be included in the closing costs. If you have further questions about broker compensation, please contact us at support@prolender.com or prolender.com/connect.